We're live from the ranch again, Matt.
Is it on for real?
It's on for real. Like, this really counts.
Check out what we found. A couple of nukies.
Hey, nuke girls.
Hey.
So, what are your names?
I'm Gwyneth.
Kenna and Gwyneth. And you guys, like, play and train here?
Oh, yeah.
So what is it like being here? Like, are you here, like, all year?
Yeah, we're here from August all the way till, like, May, June.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it like training here?
Oh, it's fun. We have like 6 hours of tennis a day. Then we have fitness. It's intense.
It's intense. Are you all good?
I mean, well, not to brag, but
who's better if you
Well,
two?
brag.
Me? No, I beat you in the tiebreaker. We played 9-1 in the tiebreaker like 18.
Well, that tells you.
18,
they're
16. Geez, they're like really going hard in the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I was not gonna give up on that one. Okay, 'cause we've always fought. Who's better?
Who else won a tiebreaker 18-16?
Ooh, trivia. I love
Trivia. Does anybody know out there?
Have you heard of Bjorn Borg?
Oh, yeah. Actually,
They
we were talking about
haven't.
it today. My mom
They
was
don't know who Ray
Wait,
Charles
wait.
is, but they do know Bjorn.
Have you all met Mr. Newcomb yet?
Yeah, I met him 2 years ago.
I looked over like,
I
oh,
never
you're
met him
right
before.
there. He's right over there.
All right, girls. Good luck with your tennis.
Thank you.
Last
Thank
thing,
you, Dwayne.
favorite shot.
Approach shot.
Approach shot.
Yes.
You?
Backhand, double line.
Backhand down the line.
I knew
I
it.
got the backhand.
All right, girls. We hope to see you on the WTA tour.
Yeah. Well, I'll take you up on that one. So yeah.
Down the line all the time. Matt, we've already got 25 people on. It's going to be a big night. We're going to have Jeff Salzenstein join us in about 15 minutes. We're going to go over the mental game of tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. I like Jeff Salzenstein.
But first, explain why this guy's here.
I'm just a mime in the middle.
Actually, you travel with Leander Pace, is that right? This is Mark Worth, by the way, good friend of ours.
He is a traveling. That's my Butterfinger. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. They don't remember the commercial out there. Anyways, yeah, you travel with Leander Pace. You're like a coach. You're like a hitting partner. You're like you're a guru.
Coach, hitting partner, yes.
Wow,
That's
so was
pretty
that
cool.
cool? Was it fun?
It's a lot of fun. It's very interesting traveling on the ATP tour. I
Yeah.
recommend it for you guys.
What's one of the best stories of the ATP Tour?
Yeah. Only
But
ones that are allowed.
Yes.
We don't want you to get in trouble or have your special pass revoked.
The time that in Dubai, when we mistook the emblem on the door for the men's room, and it was the women's room in Dubai, as I said, it was not a great experience.
Yeah.
Oh. So, Matt, what did you do with Mark today?
Oh.
Yeah.
Which thing?
We're talking about the match.
Oh. Well, we did our first ever. What do you call it? It's
We
made a match.
filmed the match. We commentated the match.
I mean, I built.
like it was a pro
I
match.
spent hours editing. I've always wanted to try this forever. We had 2 camera angles set up. We commentated over the match. I forgot to hit the record button on the audio box.
But we still got decent audio.
We had a backup audio, and it came out better than we would have expected. I built a little graphic with the score on it, painstakingly put in every 15, 30, and 40.
Yes.
It came out really good.
It's pretty cool. We're going to
I caught him.
Yeah.
When you edit video,
yeah,
you add all the stuff, sound effects, pictures, whatever, and then you got to export it so it makes it one file to put on YouTube. So all this work, press export. It's going for a couple hours. I catch him trying to hit the cancel button. He tried to pull the plug.
Why would he want to cancel this match?
Oh, let me explain why. When you play a team that is very good, you cannot give them free points.
Those nukies gone?
We gave a lot of free points to them. They missed 1 return to serve in the match and weren't missing volleys in that, and we gave them too many free points. So when you watch the video, you should watch how many free points we give up today.
Why are they 3 points? How did you give them up?
Because what ends up happening is they're putting pressure on you. They're hitting all their shots. And as I said, you're getting no free points on serve, no matter try placement, serves up middle, out wide, down the tee, body, and they're not missing. You'll see in the video in the 8-game pro set, they missed 1 return to serve.
Yeah, that actually was the commentary. I was watching the match, and I kept saying, if these guys can keep hitting the ball at their feet, it's going to be a long day. They just were in the zone on the return. That's just what they were doing.
Yeah. I can't think of it. I watched the whole match. Obviously, I was editing the whole thing. I can't trying to remember any missed returns from those guys, and not just getting them in play, but they're always dipping them at the shoestrings. And it's funny. I asked Pete in the middle of the match. I'm like, why don't they not serve in volley for a little bit? Because your partner served in volley. Did you as well? I don't seem to remember what you did on serve.
Served and volleyed. Some stayed back.
Yeah.
Tried to mix it up. We were playing a losing game, so you have to start trying different things. You have to start on your lobs, chip on your return to serve, chip lobbing, trying to get into net instead of drive returns, and you have to try.
There is one cool highlight now that I think of chip lobbing. There was one chip lob that didn't go high enough. Your partner hit a little air Pete Sampras smash. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was one of our few games, so enjoy that one.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, few means three. Couple would be the correct terminology.
Couple games. I didn't want to give too much credit to ourselves. Yes, it was a couple.
I'm sorry.
They were tough.
In our defense, the person was ranked #1 in men's 55s in the world.
Yeah, they're the best doubles.
They
team
are
here.
really
Those
good.
two guys are the best.
Yeah.
Doubles, other than like Philippoussis and Pernfors or something.
Philippoussis is actually out there coaching. So is Pernfors.
Yeah. So you guys, what was Pernfors saying to you? I was curious.
I'm going to check out comments, guys, as you guys keep going.
What Pernfors was telling us was to kind of change a losing game, do things different, and as I said, chip lobbing. We even go to 1 or 2 high formations, Aussies, and try and mix things up, but nothing really threw them off. They were just returning too well. They're serving, they got their serves in, and what you may not see from the video is it's played inside like a steel auditorium, and it's very dark.
Yeah, it's been raining here all day, so we had to go to our indoor courts, and it's not like the typical bubble. It's like they made a giant tin roof,
which really sounds great when it's raining out. Sounds like a jet engine is landing on your head.
Hey, one cool thing, guys, we got somebody from down under. He says, "Howdy, down under." On, and that's pretty good. So
we love Australia.
I hope the internet is okay. Cool, the internet is back.
Chill.
So, Matt, you got drafted today on a very important team.
Yeah, not one that requires tennis skills.
No,
this team.
Matt is on that. They have something called the boat race. Matt is on the boat race.
Yeah. Well, last year I was heroic.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. People were very impressed with your drinking skills.
Well, you got to chug it really fast.
Hey, we just want to do a little sound check. Let us know. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah, comment below if you can hear us, or if you can hear the door opening and closing really loud.
In about 5 minutes, we're going to be going live with Jeff Salzenstein and.
Sure, I'll say hey to him.
To who?
Are you friends? No, I asked because, like, literally anyone we hear about from the tennis world, he's got a story with him. Are you friends with Salzenstein?
Salzenstein.
What did I say?
Salzenstein. No. Okay, he didn't say that. No, but what I wanted to ask you was, you played in the tennis match, and now you're in the boat race.
Yeah.
Now, are you more likely to be an anchor on the tennis court or an anchor in the boat race?
I'm probably a little better at the boat race, actually. Well, compared to how I played in that doubles match, definitely better. It was a bad doubles match. But I can lock down a singles match. If you would care to challenge, he can videotape it.
What, do you want to challenge Mark in a singles match? Ooh, do you accept this challenge?
I would lose. Wow. He would go into his Federer forehand and his Robin Redbreast backhand.
It's called the Fed Pup.
Oh, the Fed Pup.
Puff the chest
I'm sorry, I thought it was the Robin Redbreast.
Robin Redbreast. Well, we'll see what happens with that. We do have more matches coming with better audio. I'll remember to hit the button on the good microphone, so we won't have to resort to the camera mic.
Cool.
Comment below who are our legends we got here. We got Mark Philippoussis, biggest serve for sure.
Yep.
Michael Pernfors is the craftiest player overall with how many trick shots does he have again?
Yeah, tell us about
6 gazillion.
So he actually got to see him do what you said. He did like 20 different trick serves in a row.
He can serve from any angle, any vantage point, any toss. I mean, we're talking from his ankles up over his head, left side, right side.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, check out the Hot Shots video where he does this backward.
Yeah, the Monday Hot
cool.
Shots video. He does a reverse serve. It's pretty cool. So I want to ask them if we can whisper in the ear of the people that run this great event here, the Tennis Fantasy Camp, any match we could see between the legends, whoever, let's ask them who they think it could be. So who do we got? We got Philip Housis.
We got Fern
Force.
Rick Leach is one of the best doubles players I've ever seen up close and personal. Does not miss a volley.
Danny Visser, who won 2 majors in doubles or 3.
I know of definitely one U.S. Open.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 or 3. Either way, a Grand Slam champion in doubles. We got Danny Visser. Who else do we got? Who are we leaving out?
To play?
Yeah, I mean, play. We're not going to get Newcomb out there. You're not going to get the older legends. They don't want to play.
I think that might be about it.
What about if we get Djokovic out to?
We should get Djokovic is here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then as far as all the legends here, if you guys don't know, we got Rod the Rocket Laver who's here. Actually, Ken Munson has a Rod Laver book that he made, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Rod Laver invited him to be the official photographer of Rod Laver for the Laver Cup this year in Chicago. So that was a cool video feature. That just went up today. And anyways, comment below. What do you think? Like Philip Housis and Fern Force versus we got Wayne Ferreira here. Don't forget
Wayne Ferreira is really good.
Was he 2 finals?
2? No, he never got to a final.
2 semifinals.
Semifinals.
2 semifinals. One of them was Australian Open 2003, I think. Loses to Andre Agassi.
Yeah.
I'd say he didn't like that we pulled some highlights from that.
Yeah, but we showed the good highlights.
Yeah, he's hitting winners.
Yeah. So, guys, let us know where you're from, if you can hear us okay. Also, if you're enjoying the TennisCon videos, what you're enjoying about the videos we're putting out there. Got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And another story before Jeff gets on.
We got 2 minutes.
We saw the official Federer Wimbledon bag today.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. There's a guy here who somehow acquired one of the 2 bags that Federer had at Wimbledon last year, the Nike bags.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I got a little video of that, so we'll put that up probably tomorrow. So about Pro-Am doubles. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Pro-Am doubles. We want to get that one thing.
Freeman versus who?
Freeman versus Flip. I don't know who Flip is.
Who's Flip?
I'll play Flip.
Let's find out who he is first.
Hello from
Flip's probably
from
a
Arizona,
nickname for someone, and we sound like boobs.
Yeah, we probably don't know. Yeah, we're probably Who is Flip? Pernforce versus Wayne for. Yeah.
I don't know if Laver wants to go out there.
Laver. Well, you know, Laver's still he's such a magical person. He might still pull it off. People might be so nervous. Remember, Roger Federer was actually nervous with Rod Laver.
Yeah, you're right.
Laver Arena.
Yeah. Oh, hey, here's a cool story. I was watching the Federer match with Rod Laver today. Not the whole match.
Why is that cool?
What, Rod Laver came over and was watching?
Me and Rod Laver were standing shoulder to shoulder like this, not touching them. Less contact.
Really?
And we watched just a game or 2.
Yeah.
And there was one long rally, and Rocket said he said, well, that's a long way to win a point.
Yeah.
And then he said, if I would have done that, I probably would have missed the ball 12 times already.
Is that what the Rocket said? Okay.
That's pretty cool. I think he wanted Roger to go up to the net or something.
Uh-huh.
No, I think he was talking if he played the match today.
Oh, yeah.
No, back in the day, he had no trouble with confidence.
Yeah, go to the video out of Boca, him against Borg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had some long ones.
They had some long ones, definitely.
One thing interesting about Rocket when he played is he didn't come back to the ready position. He kind of ran around like this. You notice that? He'd hit, he'd kind of run around, and then hit, and pretty effective. Big topspin against what?
Let me tell you, on YouTube, there is one of the greatest gets. For those people who don't know how fast Borg was, the Rocket hit on a rope, a topspin lob over Borg's head that hit the ground, kicked back to the fence. Borg went flying back, was able to outrun the ball and knock it back up. Kind of like the topspin lob that you hit over my head today. That I just looked and said, good shot.
Right. Borg ran it down. Would hit a winner on me.
Yes.
Match Laver versus Fed, like Ali versus Rocky. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So I know that Jeff is probably going to in a second.
He's going to pop in.
He's going to pop in. We're being very risky tonight, and Jeff's going to get over the mindset.
Over the screen and I'm not moving.
Well,
because I'm rocking you.
Oh,
I keep on rocking.
Matt's rocking.
See, this is confusing because Matt on the screen is on the left when he's actually on my right.
Well, Pete likes the selfie cam, which flips everything.
Well, this is how YouTube. This is just. Don't blame it on me.
Is that Salzy?
Hold on, the connection.
He's coming in. We got Jeff coming in.
Come on.
What's that?
How's it going, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going? The connection's not great. I don't know if it's my connection or yours.
Huh. Well, talk, and we'll see you say something again.
Well, I can only hear about
Hey,
every third word that you say.
Okay, well, that's not good.
So just say everything 3 times.
Okay, well,
But what I can do is I can try to move, because sometimes it's spotty here where I'm at. I can try to move. I got a spot I can go to. I just need a couple minutes. I need a couple minutes to get reset. But unless you want to just try it a different way, like I said, I could move.
Okay, well, you look fine to us, but if you want to try
Test it out.
If you can hold the fort down for a few minutes, I'll move to a different location.
I'll hold the fort.
I'm sure you can, Peter. You can hold the fort down. If you've been doing the daily rap for the last week, I'm sure you can figure it out.
Yeah, we'll hold the fort down for a couple minutes. Yeah, go ahead,
right,
Jeff.
Let me see what I can do.
Sure.
I'm going to run to Whole Foods.
Oh, there's a delay.
I'm going to run to Whole Foods and see if their internet's better.
Okay, do that.
Whole Foods is in my basement.
I know. We did an interview there.
Yeah, so we're gonna rock out over there.
Okay, Jeff. Sounds good.
I'm gonna make the mad dash. All right. Okay. Be back in a few.
Okay. So there you go, guys. There's a little preview of the preview.
Yeah.
Jeff Salzenstein, former top 100 in the world, is going to be going.
And he brought like 40 new people in with him.
Did he?
Yeah. As soon as
Jeff's bringing the heat.
Isn't that what he was known
He actually was 120 mile an hour plus serve.
Yeah.
Knock you right over, Matt.
Well, I hit 120 all the time.
Matt wants to try and return Jeff's serve. Would you like that?
Yeah. Oh, well, he's a lefty.
What Matt likes to do is look at the best player at a place and go, I want to play you. Today, there's this guy who actually has a Federer bag.
Seriously, like the Federer bag. He told us the story was Federer 2017 Wimbledon. Of course, Federer wins this tournament.
Yeah. Without
dropping a set.
Yeah.
And Nike gives him 2 bags. The one he takes out on the court with all his rackets in it, and then like a backup bag.
Yeah.
This guy has. He doesn't know which bag it is. We'll go ahead and say it's probably the backup bag. But yeah, so that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
And I challenged him.
And he accepted. And he accepted.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. And Pete thinks that I won't be able to win a game off.
Because I don't even know how many games I get off him. The guy is really good. Did you see him play?
You know what we're talking about? No. Mr. Sweeney.
Anyway, he's really, really good.
We have someone on our team that's really good.
Gigi's actually texting. This is pretty good. Gigi actually says,
who's the handsome guy in the middle?
Get Mark out of there. This is a live text from Gigi Fernandez. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, see, Mark knows everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Mark does know everybody.
Gigi, if you're watching, that's not very nice.
He's friends with Joker.
That's not very nice.
Watching.
Tell him how nice Joker is. Tell the people who like Federer how much they'd like Joker even better if they just get to know him.
You would all like Joker.
I think Joker's a really nice guy.
Joker's a good guy.
Why do you say Joker's a good guy?
2 reasons. One, I think in terms of whenever we like rocking. Whenever he doesn't come out on the top, I think he is the most humble person in kind of the congratulations to the opponents of any of the major players.
Yes.
He loses gracefully.
I think he's very, very hot. Because of how great he is, he's able to accept losing and be very congratulatory to.
Did you see the story about how he went to, after some point in 2016 when he started struggling, or maybe it was even a little after that, but he went to his parents and like broke down crying and said, like, I don't know, should I keep going? Should I keep playing? Yeah.
The Joker breaking down crying, wondering if he should go forward. I did not hear that story.
It's kind of crazy to think about. How many majors did he have at that point? 12? You got 12 majors and you're thinking about maybe I should quit this tennis thing. I'm not very good.
Well, confidence is such a fragile thing, and that goes to show when you don't have it, you don't have it. When you get it back, it's very powerful.
Very powerful.
She didn't text me.
She didn't text you?
Oh.
She just said she had to give you grief.
Hey, Stephen Taft.
Stephen Taft.
Hey, how is Texas?
We are loving Texas, guys. We have
Caleb.
Yeah, that's Caleb. We have 100
one of the top juniors in all the state of Georgia.
Yeah. He's a very good player. We've been coaching him since he's 4. Great kid.
Never mind.
And also a little bit of a pain. Yeah, I love you, Caleb.
He's my favorite.
We have 130 people watching.
That's like the most ever.
It is. Well, it's pretty good for online streams.
Yeah,
Mark,
online
it's very
streams.
good.
Right now, we're trending higher than
Than Justin Bieber.
than Fox, CBS, and NBC tonight.
Yeah, we are.
Here's some more
131.
comments. Hello from Dottie in Bradenton, Florida. That's where Bolletary is.
That's where
Thank you.
Bolletary is. It's
This
137.
is much better.
Jeff is
This is
coming
much
on.
better.
This is great fun. My favorite lefties together.
Yeah.
Much better.
I'm not a
Yes.
You're not a lefty. He's talking about Salzenstein.
Salzy and you.
Jeff, say something. Let's see you come on in.
I am here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you. There's a little bit of a
There's
delay.
so it might not show me.
What I'm going to do, why these strong guys are out here, they're going to help. Can you guys move the chair closer? We're going to get started with the interview. And
this is what
I'm
Pete
putting them
always
back to the
does.
recorders.
Rocket closer.
Pete does the insult sandwich. He gives you a little
Rocket
compliment. Oh, you strong guys.
Strong guys,
Then
move
it's
the table
the
closer.
criticism or the thing, the task.
And we're going to get started with Jeff.
All right.
Because Jeff
Is
has
this-
a lot of great stuff.
I gotta say, Jeff's more handsome in person than I imagined he'd be.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Can you help there?
I shaved just for the event.
Yeah, that's what I was noticing. Looking good, Jeff.
I didn't shave.
That's really
I
cool.
put on the-
I've never even talked to Jeff before. I've been watching Jeff videos for
Bring it
years.
high so it's not making all that noise. That was not
Sorry.
smooth at all. Okay. Sorry to hurt your guys' ears as these guys.
Bye, Jeff.
See you later.
Videos.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, we're going to get started. Thanks so much for coming on tonight.
For sure.
And we're going to get into some really, really cool stuff. So everybody say hello to Jeff. Jeff, in my opinion, one of the best online instructors for sure. And he's got total credibility because the guy was top 100 in the world. What's that feel like to be top 100 in the world? I have no idea.
What is it? Actually, I hear my echo. No, it went away. What does it feel like to be top 100? You know, what's really interesting about that concept is I mean, obviously I use it in all the, marketing materials to make me sound cool in the videos, but I don't really give any thought to it. Like how, like for me, when I used to watch players play tennis, I would always think, oh my gosh, they're so good. And then I would get on the court with them and I'm like, they're hitting the ball so big. I get on like, this guy's hitting the ball like 2 miles an hour. So I've always had an inflated view of other people's ability level or what they could do compared to mine. So I look at the same thing with being top 100 in the world. I just like, hey, I'm just Jeff. I'm a normal guy from Colorado and I just try to coach a little bit and help some people. And so I definitely don't put the fact that I was top 100 in the world on a pedestal and live through that because, as you know, Peter, we're always trying to create and innovate. So I'm always looking for like what's next. So I rarely look back into the past about what I did in the past with my accomplishments.
Yeah, and tonight what we're going to be doing, that's great stuff, Jeff. And tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to help people with the mental side of tennis. One thing that's very, very apparent here, because people are playing, and I got to play a couple years here, and I got to play, and there's Rod Laver standing in the net post, John Newcomb, Murphy Jensen, and I was nervous playing that match. And so one thing you can see is when you're watching other people go through this, whether they're a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 player here, is you can literally see them. Some people are hitting the ball about 50% of the power that they have when you're just watching them hit on the practice court, because they're also out there practicing and they'll have these great strokes, and then they get in the match and they can barely hit the ball. So we're gonna help people with that. What do you think the keys are to kind of start getting more comfortable out there on the court?
Well, the first thing is to recognize that you're going to be uncomfortable. I think too often, and I'm going to try to find the link that you sent to see, if I click on the YouTube link, will I be able to see the questions coming in? Is there a way for me to do that?
You know what I'm going to do? Answer that question, Jeff, and as you're doing that, I'm going to copy and paste the link to you.
Thank you. So, the first thing I think is to just accept the fact that you are going to be uncomfortable. I think too often we run from our anxiety and our nerves, and we try to push it away and say it's not going to exist. And the reality is that all the greatest athletes in the world feel nerves, feel pressure, feel anxiety, and then it's how you handle it and what you do with it and what you focus on in that moment. That really, it's where the rubber meets the road. And so when you're talking about players that are, hitting at 50% power and really struggling mentally, I feel like there's a resistance to the fact that people are nervous, and they go into a story of like, how could I be so nervous, or why am I so nervous? Why am I so tight in this match? And there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of resistance. And so I start with awareness and acceptance. Those are the two big A words there. Go a long way in starting the process of being able to play up to your ability level.
That's interesting that you say that, because, I think you might have the sound on. Are you watching this now, Jeff?
Yeah, I just paused it, and now I can see all of the people with the comments. This is great.
Okay. Yeah, it's really cool. So one thing that happens here, and so this happens also on team tennis, is where I think in some parts it's maybe harder than going out and playing a tournament for yourself, because you're hanging around, everybody's building this camaraderie. We're all acting like we're just out here for fun. We're becoming friends, and we're trying to make like the competition part kind of like we're serious about it, but it's no big deal. But then when you go out there and you play, and all of a sudden you realize everybody you're becoming a buddy with is now watching you play and they want you to win their match for their team. And so the nerves can really rush on, because everybody's trying to play it off like it's not a big deal. But then when you get out there in the court, you feel like it's totally a big deal. And that can certainly happen on your 3-5 team too. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, 100%. I did an exhibition, or not an exhibition, but an event in August. And it was set up where there was a pro on the court, and then you had two pros on the court, and then you had an AM on each court. And again, like all the pros are kind of acting like, oh yeah, we're just out here. And then you got to turn on the jets. And I find that really challenging to kind of turn it on and turn it off in a exhibition type atmosphere where everyone's kind of joking around and having fun, and then having to turn it on. So I can totally relate to that. And, again, here's the thing, like, obviously I've played at a high level. I've coached players at all levels, including ATP and WTA pros. And the best players in the world are experiencing all the same feelings that other players are that aren't pros, that are 3-5s or 4-0s. Regardless of the level, we're all in this together. And what it's all about is really coming up with tools and strategies in the moment to be able to prepare, to know what's in your tool bag, to have the tool set to go to. And I played many years and was able to tinker with this stuff as a player and of course as a coach. So I definitely have insight, definitely have suggestions for people to try out. And yeah, we should just keep rocking with this, Peter.
Very, very cool. Now, can you see the comments coming on in, Jeff? People are really excited about you being here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I one thing that I remember being a junior, and then we'll kind of get into how to cope with this. And this is a little bit of a weird one, but when I started to play junior tennis, I wasn't nervous in the beginning because I didn't have a ranking, and all of a sudden I became state champion, then one of the best players around the region. And so as I went to go to play these tournaments, I felt like, okay, I should do well. So I started to get all these little quirks to where I need to go to the restroom like literally maybe 50 times before a match. What were some of the, you don't have to say that, you don't have to name any people out, but what were some of the weird quirks you'd notice some of the pros do that were kind of like nervous things that they had to do, rituals they had to do before they could go on the court?
Well, I mean, I know I don't think these guys would be upset if I threw them under the bus, but the Bryan brothers, I think their first Grand Slam that they won, the French Open, they ate at the same worst Chinese restaurant, the same Chinese restaurant in Paris. I mean, Paris, France. And these Americans are eating the worst Chinese food every night for 2 weeks because once they started winning, they had to keep going back to get their dim sum every night. And imagine eating in a terrible Chinese restaurant every night in Paris where you have some of the best restaurants in the world. That's a superstition right there. I mean, listen, tennis players are funky. They're quirky. And anything, again, you look at Rafa Nadal. I mean, he's got his idiosyncrasies. And, what's interesting is whether you want to call it a routine or whether you wanted to call it a nervous tick, these are all ways to create some type of control when you can't control the outcome of a match. You don't know if you're going to win or lose because there's someone else on the other side of the net that can impact how you're playing. And so these are just little ways that people try to control their environment. And some of it's healthy and some of it isn't so healthy. But I do believe it's very important to establish a routine. I talk about that a bit in my presentation inside TennisCon 2, but having a routine and understanding, what makes you tick is again, part of that development as a player. Too often, and again, I love teaching the serve, I love teaching technique, but too often players fixate on technique and they don't focus on what I call and others call the invisible game. I mean, what's happening between the ears is actually the thing that can separate you from everyone else that you're playing with and against. And, that is the ultimate, is to be able to master your mind, especially in the clutch. And this is a skill set that can be developed. I often hear that, you'll hear announcers say, well, he was just born to be clutch. I don't buy it. I mean, yes, it's easier for some players to be clutch, but just like your forehand, you can work on your mental skills. You can work on your mindset. It's just that a lot of times it's not talked about, and most often players don't have strategies to develop that.
That's great. Now, how would you go about working on your mindset? I think it is something that you probably just can't do on the court. And I think sometimes as coaches, and I'll throw myself in that bucket, is we do a poor job of that. We see our students struggling on the court in a match, and if we're allowed to coach, we try and coach them through that situation. And then once that situation's over, we kind of just like move on and hope they play great the next day, and then they start blowing up again. Then we try and calm them down again. But that's probably not the best way to go about fixing a mental thing, right?
Right. I mean, it's, everybody's a little bit different, but, Jeff Greenwald and I have done the Fearless Tennis Experience, and I've learned so much by having engaging conversations with, we have a really intimate setting the last couple of years, and we really get insight. And I'm going to use one example of a young woman in her 70s who just won her first 2 gold balls after she obviously was an accomplished player before she started working with Jeff and I in this program. But, I learned just as much from her than I do from my own tennis. And, one little tip that I can give you and give everyone is that what she does is she actually gives herself a little fist pump and she says the word yes to herself. And she's not doing it in anyone's face. She's not being boisterous. And she even confided in us that she does it during her days, not even when she's on the tennis court. So if something cool happens in her life, even if it's a little thing, she gives a little fist pump to herself and says yes. And what I love about that is that you look at our world today on and off the tennis court, there's so much negativity and self-talk and the way that people talk to themselves, and just the simple yes and a little fist pump. I mean, this is extreme, but imagine if you walked around on a tennis court all day and you did nothing else but just pump your fist and say yes 100 times. And that was your exercise, just like getting 100 repetitions of hitting your forehand cross court. What if you did that with a little fist pump and said yes? I'm pretty sure that when you come off the court, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more confident in some way, shape, or form. So again, it's like a muscle. You want to practice the skills of pumping yourself up and finding something that works for you. Now, I didn't tell this student to pump herself up and say yes, to give her a little fist pump. That's what she came up with. So I think it's this journey into mindset and the mental side of things. It's about self-discovery. Obviously, having a coach to support you as well is very important and to give you guidance. But really, it's about self-discovery and having learning your own game. Understanding what makes you tick and what happens in these moments. And we know, Peter, that most people do play worse in practice than in matches, and most people get tight when they play. So those are big patterns that, as coaches, Peter, you and I want to be able to help players with. And of course, we can dig more into it as this interview goes on.
Yeah, and one thing that's really cool is I want everybody to stay to the end of this call because Jeff is going to be giving away some extra training on the mental side of tennis. So it's going to be really good. What are you giving away tonight?
Well, Peter, I've got an opportunity. So let me back up a second. A couple years ago, I started digging more into mindset performance. I've always been fascinated by it. In my past, I'm a kid from Colorado. I went to a public high school. I didn't go to an academy. I was not groomed to be a pro. The only reason I became a pro is because I developed a 130-mile-an-hour serve. If I didn't have the serve, I wasn't going pro. And I was a smart player. But you know what? When push came to shove in the big matches, Michael Chang at the U.S. Open, Thomas Muster at the Canadian Open, when he was 2 in the world, I was up a set and a break. Many other matches I was up against guys that were top 10 in the world. Oftentimes, my level would drop 5%, and that's enough at that level to lose. And there was that, I like to say there was like that little boy inside of me, that little kid from Denver, Colorado, that deep down didn't believe he could beat the best players in the world. And so even though I achieved a high level and I got to top 100 in the world, I believe that I could have been even better had I been training my mindset at a higher level than when I was just kind of winging it, trying to figure things out there. So just know that everyone listening, you're not alone. The best players in the world choke. I've seen Federer have his level drop in different stages. But what that led me, the challenges that I had at times in my career, that led me, again, to dig deeper into mindset, why I wasn't coming through in the clutch as much as I would have liked. And a couple of years ago, I went through a program called Extreme Focus Coaching. And the leader of that, a gentleman by the name of Dave, a good friend of mine. I don't know why I'm spacing his last name right now, because I'm just so locked into the mindset. But Dave, he is really big on this thing called game-ready visualizations. And so he created a proprietary process, and I'm calling it a match-ready for tennis. And Dave gave me this process that I'm going to teach anyone that wants to learn it. And so that's the link that you're going to be sending them to, that they have an opportunity to learn this match-ready visualization. It's about 8 minutes, and it really helps players reset their mind and to focus and channel on the right things. And so it's one of the most powerful visualizations I've learned. I've never been a big formal visualizer. Visualization person. I like to create images in my mind of what I want to do, but I don't sit down and close my eyes and really rehearse things probably as much as others might. But this process is really, really cool, and I wanted to share it with the group.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you for doing that. I want to go back a little bit to something you said, because I have a couple questions on it. You talked about playing Thomas Muster, who I always enjoyed watching on TV, known for kind of his intensity, kind of like Rafa before Rafa, right?
Right.
A lot of ticks, a lot of nervous energy, and a lot of excitement. Big heavy topspin. So when you are up and you're up a set and a break, what are the things that's going through your mind? Are you thinking about, oh my gosh, if I win this match, I'm going to get X amount of money, or my ranking's going to go? Are you thinking just more things like, can I hold on? I mean, what's going on? Like, because there's so much that could happen by winning a match like that.
Right. So here's the thing. And first of all, it's Dave Austin. And the reason why I got tripped up is that Dave Adams was a great doubles player. And I'm thinking, you're at Newcomb's right now, and you got all these legends there. And David Adams was a doubles player that played on the tour. And for some reason, I had David Adams in my mind, and it's Dave Austin that I went through the Extreme Focus program. And he actually played high-level tennis. But getting back to your question about Muster, here's the thing. Thoughts are just thoughts. They're like clouds, and some of you may have heard this analogy before. Some of you may have not, but literally thoughts are like clouds, and you can choose to keep that cloud over your head, or you can let it just watch it just pass by. And so if you don't put any meaning to a thought, if you don't go down that rabbit hole of like, okay, if I win this match, I'm going to make another $20,000. And then if I do that, then I'm going to be able to afford my next meal. And then if I do that, I'm going to get these ranking points. And if I do that, then the girl in the front row is going to like me. I mean, this is just a stream of thoughts. And what you want to do is you want to become aware of your thoughts and just literally watch them and then channel them into a different thought, the one that's going to allow you to play well. So for example, you asked me what I thought about. I think for me, when I was ahead with a guy like Mooster, it would be more around, for me, I had a little bit of a fitness issue that summer when I played him. So it was around cramping. So I think I felt a little twitch in my calf. So then my mind would go to, oh my gosh, am I going to cramp right now? Another one might be, can I keep this up? You know, I've been serving so well. I've been holding serve. You know, can I keep serving this well every single game? And again, I know that the pros are having thoughts like this too, but what they do so well is they're able to take that thought and shift it into their focus or get back into their routine, whether it's their in-between point routine where they take a deep breath, they go to their strings, they have their ritual that they go through, but they're able to focus on the right things at the right moment. Whereas people that struggle, they go into that kind of victim thinking of like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with my forehand? Or I don't know if I'm going to make my forehand under pressure, and that anxiety starts to get them. So those thoughts are just thoughts, and it just depends on how much energy you actually want to give those negative thoughts. And you know what, Peter, most people don't even know that they're having these thoughts. They actually think that the thoughts are real. And I know we're getting a little bit deeper here, but most people have no awareness of what they're thinking or even what's coming out of their mouths until someone makes them aware of it. And they're like, wait, I didn't even know I was saying that to myself. And so that's why I started the call tonight saying it just starts with awareness. And then once you realize that you're negative, you're more negative than you thought you were, then you gotta accept it and not beat yourself up about it. So against a guy like Mooster, it was like, can I hold on? You know, am I going to be able to serve this out? Will I have the fitness? Because this guy is just an absolute beast. A real quick story there, Peter, when the match ended and I lost, I was cramping, and it was my first year on the tour. We're in Montreal, second round of the Canadian Open, and I've got a doubles match in the afternoon. And at that time, the facilities weren't as nice as they are now at all these tournaments. But the training room, where you got your therapy, was right next to the weight room. And I remember coming off the court, I was cramping in my calves and probably somewhere else. And they actually gave me an IV in the training room. They didn't take me to the hospital. Somehow I was able to convince them to give me the IV there so that I could play my doubles match 2 hours later. And I got this IV in my forearm, and I look over, and Mooster is on the bench press, and he's with his girlfriend. His girlfriend's sitting next to him, and he is literally bench pressing like 200 pounds, like 25 times, like it's nothing. And I'm like, well, that's the difference between Thomas Mooster at 2 in the world and Jeff Salzenstein at 140 in the world, first year on the tour, is this guy's an absolute beast. So he had me physically, and clearly he had me mentally on that day.
Wow. And when he's down, I think, you know, because we've all played better, people that we feel are better than us, and we've been up on them. And I know one of the things that I have felt when I'm about to have a big win is I am kind of like waiting for that shoe to drop. And so I'll be thinking, oh man, I'm playing really good. How long can I keep this up? And then if this person who I'm playing is maybe playing a bit lower than they usually do, and I notice that, and then they hit one good shot, then I start thinking, oh, here he comes. Now he's gonna really turn it on. Did you have that kind of feeling too as you were playing these great players?
Oh yeah, I mean, you knew that they had another gear, and again, there was nerves around would they shift into that next gear, and then could I keep my gear? And so there's always times in the match when the momentum is going to swing, and the difference between winning and losing at that level is just so finite. It's just so small, you know. It's just a finite little gnat there. Like you just got to figure out like how to keep that level up. But thinking about whether he's going to play at another gear and thinking if I can keep it up it doesn't serve you to get into the zone. It doesn't help you get to the next level or to stay at the level and play and perform at a high level. And so if I could break it down as simple as possible for those that are listening and those that will listening, is that a couple things. Number one, 80% of our thoughts, research has proven 80% of our thoughts are negative. So if you know that going in, realize that you're beating yourself up, you're judging yourself, you're hard on yourself, you're playing the victim card, like, why does this always happen to me 80% of the time? So imagine if you just flipped the script and you were able to be more proactive and more positive 80% of the time. Now, I can't guarantee you're going to win the match on that day, but it starts there. It starts, if you're really focused on the process and improving and getting better, the quickest way to do it is to change your mindset, because you might not be able to change your forehand technique tomorrow, but you certainly can change. You can control how your mind works. So that's principle number one tonight. Well, maybe it's number two, because we talked about awareness and acceptance. But knowing that if you can flip the script on your thoughts, going from negative to positive, that's absolutely huge. All right. And then the next thing is, we're talking about thoughts. And most of this, again, most of us are overthinkers. And so getting into your body, however you can do it, and getting out of your head. So again, a deep breath in between points, even smiling at your mistakes. Smiling is actually a physical action. Like, you're smiling and your face is moving. Coming out after a changeover and really having a bounce in your step. Being aware of how you're walking on the court. Is your body language negative or positive? What is the pace of your walk? The energy that you have. Look at Rafa Nadal. I mean, this guy is an absolute beast on the court and how he moves and the energy that he shows. And everybody's a little different. You got to find your own way. But getting into your body more and out of your head is the secret sauce, one of the secrets to being in the moment.
Yeah, very good stuff. You said something that kind of reminded me of a couple of things. John Newcomb is here, and we did a video together. We were talking about the mental side of tennis, and he said that same thing. He's like, if you're really nervous, try and smile. And he says, and if you can't smile, then you're really too nervous. And so you got to work on that. And then we brought up the point of when Djokovic was playing Federer and that one famous forehand return where he smiles, he's down match point, and right before Federer serves, he smiles, maybe just to relieve some tension, but it almost kind of looked like he knew he was about to make like one of the best comebacks ever, and then he smacks that forehand. So pretty cool stuff there, Jeff.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just no. I want you to finish that thought, and then I want to preview what you're going to get into tomorrow, so people, because you do a unique way that you're teaching tomorrow, and I just want to have people know about that. But go on, finish the thought.
Well, a couple things. I want to give a couple more tips because you brought me on tonight to deliver value, and we're talking about kind of some general concepts, but there's something, there's a couple things I want to share that I've seen over the years that it kind of combines, it combines mindset with technique. And one of the things, I don't know if you've noticed this, Peter, but one of the things I've noticed over years with many players, and especially when they get tight, there's patterns and themes you're going to see, is that a lot of players don't finish their strokes. They literally stop, or they pull the racket down, or it goes across the body. Why does that happen? Well, because your body is more constricted, so you're going to have less extension. You're going to be more jammed. You're not going to have the spacing, so you can't extend as much. And then you're wanting to get it in, and you just kind of cover the ball on both the forehand and the backhand side. You kind of short arm it. And so as a physical cue, I'm really big in this moment. If you can become aware that you're really short with your shots or short with your finish or not extending, that you really focus on your follow through and your finish. And again, a lot of coaches give me a hard time because they say, well, the contact point is the only thing that matters. What happens after doesn't. And I tend to disagree with that because, I do disagree with that because I've seen too many players not follow through. And so if you're mentally tight, if you're not able to play the way that you want, pay attention to if you're actually finishing your shots, if you're actually following through over the shoulder every single time on your forehand, your backhand, or on your one-handed backhand. Are you finishing with your arm out like this every time? And so you see a lot of pros actually holding their finish. There's videos on YouTube of Dominic Thiem holding his finish on his forehand and not bringing the racket down until a certain time. You'll see Nadal hold his finish on his forehand at his shoulder in YouTube videos like this for a split second before he brings it down. That's by design. They're ingraining those habits. And so if there's one kind of technical tip that I can give you that's related to mindset, is to finish your shots. And that's really the metaphor for that is, finishing a match, right? You want to be able to finish the match strong. I want players to finish their strokes. And that is I think that's just a great tip that people can focus on. One more that I want to give, Peter, is I'm going to tell a quick story. And I call it's the principle of exaggeration. So I'm at a challenger in Champaign, Illinois. And I think, I don't even know the year, probably early 2000s. And I am playing this match. And I'm in the first round. I'm playing a guy about 420 in the world. And I had a tendency to get tight against guys that were 400, 500 in the world, that expectation game again. And I'm pulling off the ball and I'm hitting short and it's not going well. I mean, it's a battle. And I look up at the tarp. It's an indoor tournament. And Illinois, University of Illinois is in the Big Ten. Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State, Iowa. They all have these huge banners up on the wall. And I looked up at those banners, Peter, and I said, okay, I'm going to aim for those banners. I'm literally going to swing for the fences, swing for the banners, because I was so nervous about winning and losing and all that riffraff. I needed to distract myself, and I needed a cue to exaggerate the problem of hitting the ball short. So I was aiming for the fence, aiming for these banners that were above the guy's head that was serving. And now my ball started landing on the baseline. I needed to exaggerate. So if you have the problem of hitting in the net under pressure or hitting short, try to miss long. Try to miss into the fence. You might be surprised how hard it's actually to hit a ball into the fence when you want to win badly, because the other part of you wants to make the ball. So all we're trying to do is kind of equal out that other side of your personality that's scared. You got to go to the other side and really exaggerate.
That is really good stuff. And sometimes I find when you get into such a dark place, you feel like it's so hard to break out of it. You feel like it's so hard to hit a shot normal. But then if you can hit just a couple, all of a sudden you can get right back in the groove. Have you experienced that as well, Jeff? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I see some great comments in here too.
Yeah. Well, do you want to pick some out that you like?
Well, Julie, I mean, she saw my exhibition with Jeff Greenwald at the Tennis Congress. And she just said self-talk in the match while you're playing, because we went through, we talked about what we're focusing on. That was powerful. I did one clinic, one workshop with a group, and we focused on, again, having trigger words after a serve, like, say the word yes when you hit a good serve, hit up on the ball. Those quick trigger words are really powerful to help players play well. Freedom 28CK. What about having a beer or two before you go on court to play just a little more relaxed? Now, I've joked about this. I'm a tequila sipper, Peter. Okay. I'll sip a little tequila. I think that if I would have had a little tequila before some of my matches on the Pro Tour, I might have had better results, because I had a tendency to get a little uptight internally. And so there's something to be said about maybe the Aussies maybe knew something. I don't know if they had beers before they played, but I know they had them after. But I think maybe a little tequila sip here or there might have helped me play a little bit looser.
That's interesting. That's pretty good. Yeah, these guys definitely play loose here. I mean, it's a party. My buddy Matt Bradshaw, he's actually going to be boat racing tonight, which is a drinking game that the Aussies will play, and they do time trials. So this is like their test to see if the team. I
would not be a part of that one. I'd probably be off like writing an email for Tennis Evolution or something.
Yeah, but, that's me. But Matt is a crazy guy. Anyway, but what I want to do is I want to get into what you're going to do tomorrow, because I found your presentation to be very interesting, unique, and so kind of tee it up what your presentation is about. You're going to use an example of Michael Chang, but also just not a normal, hey, watch the video. You really are trying to get your audience engaged, participating, and really giving some thought to what you're presenting tomorrow.
What's interesting about, thank you, Peter. What's interesting about the coaching, and by the way, one of my good friends, David Ryan's on, and he's giving me a hard time about not including Wisconsin with the Big Ten banners. So I got to give the Badgers some love here for David Ryan. But, this presentation I created for TennisCon and for you, Peter, it's an offshoot of something that I created for USTA, for the USTA Teachers Conference. So I gave that talk, and again, it's different. I adjusted it. but I gave that talk to rave reviews, to teachers and to coaches that tuned into this presentation. And it was my first presentation that I gave in New York City off of the tennis court. So I'm really doing more and more work off of the tennis court because I see the value in helping people get their head game right. And so this presentation, like you said, obviously there's some storytelling. I'm gonna share the story of when I played Michael Chang in the U.S. Open, second round match, 24,000 people, and what was going through my mind before the match and during the match, what I was thinking about, what I was trying to do, where I was successful and where I wasn't successful, mistakes that I made that I don't want players out there to make. So that alone is going to be a really powerful story that I want people to hear about. I'm going to also share a personal story about why I actually retired. I had a family member that had a traumatic event, and I made a decision to help him. And it actually relates to mindset on the court. So there's a personal story there. But I'm going to get into 3 specific strategies, and we touched on a couple of them. Actually, we touched on all 3 tonight, but I didn't really go into the specific details of what you're going to learn on this presentation. And these 3 strategies, I believe, anyone listening to this that signs up and goes through, listens to this presentation, they're active with the learning. Like you mentioned, I actually break it up into little segments where people have time to write some things down and go internal and really be introspective, like where your strengths and your weaknesses are. I believe if people do the work, if they implement and take action, they can literally transform their game. I truly believe it. And that's not some, sales and marketing gimmick. I mean, take it for what it's worth. If you watch this 1-hour presentation, you follow the 3 strategies I give, and you do it for the next 30 days. Just do it for 30 days consistently. I would love to hear from people because I believe it can transform someone's tennis and their lives. And that's why I was so excited to be able to share this with everyone at TennisCon too.
Yeah, and you said something that I'm going to definitely back you up there, Jeff. You said this is not some sales or marketing thing. I honestly think I can help people change and transform their game. And when I was watching your presentation, first of all, I just felt honored that you took the time to do this for me, but for everybody. And I thought, wow, this guy really put a hell of a lot of thought into this presentation. He didn't just mail it in. I mean, this is really good stuff that people, if they use it, it's going to help them a lot. And that was actually something I was thinking as I was watching, like, man, Jeff really put a lot of time and effort in this video. It's really awesome. So
yeah, thank you. I made the video. I made the presentation. I didn't just take a cookie cutter. I actually changed it for TennisCon. And so I had pre-existing content, but then I sent it to my video editor. I said, listen, I want these little time frames put in during the presentation so that people can take a minute to write down what's working and what's not working, really be able to see. Because what did I say at the beginning of this interview? The first step is awareness. You have to be, your eyes and your mind have to be open to a new way of doing things. Otherwise, you're going to keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. And I know many people listening are repeating patterns and they're frustrated. And this is, to me, this is the secret to changing these patterns. And what's amazing about it is if you start to change with these 3 strategies I'm going to share, you will be able to change your forehand faster. You'll be able to improve your serve faster. You'll be happier on the court. You'll be able to handle losses better. I mean, we're all competitors, but you'll be able to see a loss for what it is, a lesson learned, and to ask the right questions. Nora Harrison, who I'm friends with here in Colorado, she said she loved my presentation in New York. She said storytelling, asking what instead of why. Remember I said earlier tonight, why does my forehand always go in the net? It's not about why, it's about what. And saying, hey, what can I do to get better right now? What can I do to get better with my forehand? What can I do to compete? Asking the what question instead of the why me question, that's a game changer right there.
It's great stuff. And what I did, Jeff, because I know after I had Gigi on, many people were emailing me even the next day saying I didn't get a chance to get the link. So what I just did, and I'm going to put it there for you guys again, Jeff is giving free train in addition to what you're going to see tomorrow. And I just want to put the link out there for you guys. So it's right there in the description. And what I thought would be a good thing to do as we're kind of wrapping this up is if people have their own questions or their own stories about, having nerves that definitely impacted the match to where you didn't play the way you wanted to. If people are saying it's a great presentation tonight, they really enjoyed it, this is your time to ask a question. And another thing that I'm going to put out there, let's see, you definitely help. Let's see, is there a question there? I was strong technically, but was a basket case mentally. Now I'm playing close to my real ability. That's pretty awesome. That's from your buddy David.
Yeah, and David's from Wisconsin. I mean, he's been a one-on-one private client for a couple of years. We've done, we've worked together with the mindset. We've worked with technique. He's done the fearless experiences. So he really is a case study into how this protocol, this system really works, and it can help people. And I'm honored that David would even want me to be his coach. And I know the feelings are mutual. So thanks, Peter. Jimmy Dean says, thanks, Peter. Thanks, Jeff. We got a guy from Japan, Yatsutaka. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and this link, if you click on the link, here's what you're going to get if you give your email address to Tennis Evolution is you're going to get a game-ready visualization. So you're going to get an audio on how we take people through a visualization. I learned it from Dave Austin, who coached 4 MVP baseball players. He's worked in all industries with Navy SEALs. So it's not like I just, read some tennis psychology book. I have lived this as a tennis player, as a coach, as an entrepreneur. I've gotten formal education in this. I'm not just pulling stuff out of my butt here. But this link is going to give you the game ready visualization, but I also have a free video series attached behind that you can watch 3 powerful videos on how you can change your mindset and play better in matches, and play as well in matches as you do in practice. And for some of you, you're going to have massive breakthroughs right away. Others, it's going to take longer because you might have resistances, you might have blocks, you might be programmed. There's a lot of habits in there that you want to be looking to change if they're not necessarily positive. So stay with the process. That's the key is, don't give up on changing your mind and your mindset for the better.
Yeah, very cool. And one thing that you mentioned, Jeff, too, which I want to put out there too, here's another link. If you guys want to if you don't have your lifetime access to TennisCon, and again, I'm not doing this from a marketing standpoint. I've spent so much time and effort putting this together just because I think that these are the best coaches in the world. And you guys are getting it for like a private lesson or, I don't know, a new pair of shoes. And
Peter, can I say something real quick? Seriously.
Sure.
What is it? It's not even $100, right?
Yeah.
It's like seriously, like $100. Like, this is amazing information. You just sign up. Like, seriously, like Peter has put so much effort into it, and what he does for tennis and the coaches that he's brought in, you got $100 to like invest in this for lifetime access. And again, this 1 hour presentation I'm going to give is priceless. Honestly, you can't put a price tag on changing your tennis and changing your life. Not to mention all the other amazing presentations where you can learn how to hit a forehand, you can learn how to transition, you can learn how to play better doubles, you can learn how to serve. And good, I know this is a big plug for Peter's program, but I really believe strongly that you've got to invest in yourself if you want to get to the next level. I do that in my life probably more than I should, but you got to spend money to make money. You got to spend money to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for that. And what I was just pointing out is you said, go through this through the next 30 days. And that's what I want people to do is I don't want you guys to what I don't want as a coach is that you are trying to like consume all this information this week and think, okay, like I got to watch just a couple of videos or I think I got it all now. There's no way you're getting this all right now. I promise you, because even as I was getting all this information coming into me from all these great instructors, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this video is so good. And this video is so good. And for me as a coach, I'm thinking I need to watch this several times to be able to actually implement this to become a better coach. So, definitely go through Jeff's video more than once. It's meant to be an exercise that you can do over and over again. That's how you guys get good at stuff is through developing habits, not just through watching something once and think you're a better player.
Yeah, Peter, you made a great comment going over and over again. Here's what I would do. number one, I would sign up for lifetime access right now. Number two, I would put in your I would watch the presentation that I deliver, and I would put in your calendar every 30 days. Just like you have a doctor's appointment, just like you have your tennis lesson, just like you go to work 9 to 5, whatever you do, 1 hour a month, put it in your calendar that you're going to set aside an hour to watch this presentation. Or maybe there's another presentation inside TennisCon too. Put it in your calendar, non-negotiable, watch it 1 hour a month, and you're going to keep getting better and better because you're going to get new insights every time you watch it, and then you can go implement things on the court. And one more, I keep saying one more thing, Peter, but I'm seeing stuff in here. What did you think of Djokovic's Mind Guru? So this was the guy, spacing his name as well, but he was into the, love and tennis is love. And I made a comment about this 6 months ago, Peter, is that, listen, you have to be a warrior on the tennis court. It is a blend of zen and almost this kind of animalistic fire that you must have inside of you. So I'm not here to preach that you should be all woo-woo and zen. You want to balance being in the moment and then having that killer instinct. And I believe Djokovic lost the killer instinct when he was working with his mind guru a year ago. And fortunately, he got his team back, and now he has that killer instinct as well as the ability to have that zen-like moment focus.
Yeah, that's very cool. We have Christopher saying, I'm here with TennisCon too because Jeff sent me an email about this last week, and I love this stuff. So thank you so much, Christopher. And I don't know if you guys know this. I want you guys to understand this 30-day challenge we're going to do too, because I don't want this course to collect internet dust. So I'm going to start you off. Like Jeff says, do it every 30 days. I'm going to go through a 30-day challenge. And I know that after these 30 days, I think I'm going to be more fit. I'll probably be hitting the ball better. And I'm going to be a better coach. So I'm going to become better after these 30 days as well. It's kind of a selfish thing I'm doing, but I want to kind of be your guide to go through all this stuff. So when you are getting all these videos, you're not overwhelmed. And I'm going to help you mark the calendar. We have a calendar, and Jeff's video is going to be one of the things that we're going to go through together. I'm going to go through it. And it's just going to help us all get better together. So, that's the idea behind the 30-day challenge. If you guys were confused about it, because, I have a lot of respect for every single coach. There was no coach that I didn't go, well, I don't think they're very good. Every coach I picked, I'm like, I respect these people. They're great at what they do. I want the world to see what they're doing. And I not only want them to see what they're doing, but you got to implement it. That's maybe where you get frustrated from some of the online stuff, is you don't implement, but you're actually just watching. You got to do it, guys, if you want to get better.
Peter, what would you say if there was are you aware of one dominant phrase or thing that you say to yourself that doesn't make you a better tennis player when you're playing, where you're hard on yourself?
Is there something that I say that?
Yeah, are you even do you know there's one negative statement you say about your game? And if you don't have one, that's okay.
No. Ridiculous.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, right? And so, if you were to add on after ridiculous, what does it mean when you say this is ridiculous? I can't believe I missed this, or you're so bad, or what is there anything that comes to mind?
There's so many stupid things I'm doing with that. It's this is ridiculous. So I'm beating myself up, but then maybe I'm letting the people watching know that, hey, I'm better than this, even though that's actually where I am at that moment. That's how I'm playing. It's
right.
Reality. So it's maybe to kind of protect my ego. In a way I'm not trying to, but it could be putting down my opponent who's actually beating me. And I'm saying it's ridiculous. How could I lose to this person? I mean, I used to say this a long time ago when I was playing and I was less mature. But that would be one of my phrases that I'd say. And when I look back and analyze it now, it was so bad in so many ways. It was a toxic word to say, not only to myself, but it was very disrespectful for the people watching me play.
Yeah. And so what I might suggest to you, and again, I don't know if you still say ridiculous, but maybe you come up with a different response to the mistake that resonates with you. So it could be I mean, here's the thing, by the way, I'm okay with people getting angry or even saying the word ridiculous, as long as it doesn't lead to a train of negativity for the next 5 or 10 seconds. Those negative thoughts of, like you mentioned, about people watching or like worried about what people think. It could be, hey, ridiculous, because it's just kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. But then the next thing is you go to your routine, you take a deep breath, you go, okay, stay up on the serve now, or, you know, make sure you get an extra spin on your forehand, whatever that thing is in that moment. So what I like to do is just have people become aware of what they say and how they can shift that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And one of the things that I do say in a good way is when I hit a serve in the net, I always tell myself head up. And every time I keep my head up, that ball does not go in the net. So, I mean, the words are powerful, especially if they're quick and they make sense to you right away.
Yep. Awesome stuff. More questions coming in. How do you mentally counteract your aggressiveness and overconfidence when you're going for too much? So I would ask Evan back, who I've seen Evan, you know, on our website as well. Thanks for joining us tonight. I would ask him back a question if I could. I would say, okay, well, you actually know the answer. Like, what could you do instead? And oftentimes I like to hear the students tell me what they think they could do, just so I can see where their head is at. But in terms of aggressiveness and overconfidence, when you're going for too much, obviously you want to start maybe playing within yourself. So your mantra could be, all right, play within yourself, play solid tennis right now. Your goal is to make 5 balls before you go for a big shot. So now you've set a goal on how many balls you're going to make. If you feel like you're overhitting, you actually have a tangible thing to work on in the moment. Again, it's not woo-woo saying just relax or just, you know, like whatever, just relax and kind of figure it out and stay relaxed and smile. There's a real tangible way to build on that concept, which is the opposite of being aggressive and overconfident. You're playing within yourself, and that becomes your mantra. Okay, play within yourself right now. Another question, how do you counteract or deal with arrogance? I assume that's arrogance from somebody else. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's talking about arrogance within or without. And that whole concept we haven't talked about is how do you get impacted by your opponent doing annoying things, where they're arrogant or they have a bad line call or they just have little ticks on the other side of the net. They're playing too fast. They're playing too small. Again, that's about getting back into your body, taking a deep breath, feeling your feet on the ground, to steal one of Jeff Greenwald's tips, which I love, and really getting clear on what you're going to focus on and blocking out what's happening on the other side of the net.
That is really, really good stuff. And we did have a couple of people sign up. Lily, one of the things that I pride myself on is you are having trouble, I think, figuring out how to log in. I'm going to help you. So guys, if you have any fear about sign up, and if you can log in, and if you can't, you can literally call me, you can email me, and we'll make sure you get in, because it is great stuff. I want to thank Lily and Sherry for signing up right now. And I appreciate you guys. And I want to give Jeff's, if you notice right there, there's Jeff's free training link again. We'll take a couple more questions, but I do want to leave you with Jeff's training link and then how you get lifetime access. If you are watching this Monday, which is our serving day, that will be expiring tonight at 12 o'clock. And Jeff actually gave a great presentation on the serve too. Tell us about, if they haven't watched your serve, how did you go from what you thought wasn't a great serve in college? You kind of considered yourself, as you were a younger kid, you said you didn't have a growth spurt, where you were more just crafty and outsmarting people, certainly not blowing anybody off the court with your serve, to the only way I would have made it on the tour is my serve, that's pretty interesting.
It sure is. I mean, I was a scrappy player. I was a smart player. My father instilled that in me from a young age. It's probably why I'm so passionate about mindset. But my freshman year in college, I wasn't breaking 100 miles an hour. I was spinning that thing in. Dick Gould had me on the back courts, and he had me trying to learn how to pronate on my serve. I don't know if I was pronating or not, but I wasn't breaking an egg. And I was playing 5 singles, and I had a great season. I won a lot of tennis matches at number 5 singles because I knew how to win. I found ways to win. And I was crafty and I was smart and I had some game, but I didn't have a big serve. And I remember going to a satellite and losing in the qualifying 3 weeks in a row. Now imagine you're 19 years old and you can't get out of the qualifying of a satellite. When you can't get out of the qualifying of satellites at 19, you're not going to play pro tennis, Peter. I know you know this. There's guys on the tour. What is Tsitsipas? He's 20 years old, and he's already winning tour events. So, we were at 19 years old. You got to be winning futures, winning satellites if you really want to play at the next level, or at least close. So I went back to Denver, Colorado. I stopped competing that summer, and I literally copied Goran Ivanisevic. He was playing at Wimbledon in 1993, and I watched him. I modeled his serve. I started tinkering, and things started to click. And so it's the power of modeling, the power of watching the best. There is real power in watching the best players swing a tennis racket and trying to model them. And so I did that. I made a little breakthrough, or made a big breakthrough. I went back to Stanford. My coaches looked at me like, what the heck did you do? And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, well, I just copied Goran. And they said, well, you're going to play #2 singles this year. And, the rest is history. I had a great career at Stanford because I became a dominant serve and volleyer in college. I went from a scrappy guy my freshman year to a big serving lefty my junior and senior year, where I could play #1 singles and be an All-American and have great results. And it wasn't until that happened that I could seriously consider playing professional tennis. And then I wasn't done yet. As you know, Peter, I'm a student of the game. I hooked up with John Yandel when I was 28 years old. I had a pinpoint stance, and I went to a tournament. I was 180 in the world, and I'm down to 5% on my battery, so I'm going to have to maybe move. I see an opening here, so bear with me here. But I went to the Aptos Challenger. This is a good story. Aptos Challenger. I'm 28 years old. John Yandel's got his VHSs at the time. He didn't even have a website, and I'm watching his VHS tapes of Sampras and Agassi and Philippoussis, who you've got down there. By the way, Philippoussis took me out. He probably doesn't even remember it because he's got so many wins, but he took me out in the first round of Shanghai. Probably in the early 2000s. That guy could serve. My golly, what a big game he had. But so I meet up with John in Aptos, and it's a first round match that I play, and he puts video on my serve, and he puts video on my serve, and I've got the pinpoint, and he shows me Sampras' serve, and he says, I really think you could serve better if you move to a platform stance. And he showed me the reasons why. And he said, this would be great. You could really just change this after this tournament or when you have your next break. And I looked at him. I said, John, I'm 180 in the world. I'm 28 years old. We're changing this thing right now. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, we're going to change. We're going to go on, do a lesson right now in the middle of the tournament. And he looked at me like I was nuts, which I kind of am nuts, but just plugging in here. And sure. So I for about a half an hour, I modified my stance, and I went out the next day, and I served in a platform stance in my second round match, and I went on to win the dang tournament. And it's just for me. Listen, I made a lot of decisions in my pro career that were dumb, like that actually hurt my ability to move up the ladder. But that was one decision that worked out for me because I ended up breaking the top 100 about 18 months later with his help on the serve. And I know he's got a presentation too that everybody should check out on the forehand. And I think, is he doing serve as well? Just forehand and backhand?
He did 3 fundamentals that on the serve and the forehand that everybody should have. He basically pointed out, hey, not everything about the pro game you need to copy, and there's different stylistic things going on. But these 3 things everybody's doing to make their serve or the forehand better.
Yeah. So this guy, I mean, he was my introduction to how this was all broken down. And then I took some of his stuff and took other stuff and thought of my own stuff and just pulled it all together for what we do at Tennis Evolution. But so I made that change in the middle of the tournament, and what it speaks to, and again, I'm not saying this to brag, but I just want to use it as example, is that having a growth mindset, being willing to learn, being willing to experiment and try new things, that is why we are on this, one of the reasons we are on this planet. We're not on this planet to be static and to be still. And if you want to be a better tennis player, you have to be willing to try new things. You have to be willing to make mistakes. I always tell my players, make mistakes. I want you to miss, where we've been conditioned from a young age, like, don't make mistakes, don't miss in tennis. You have to be solid. Listen, I get it. There's a time and a place for that, but I also believe there's a time and a place to play and experiment and to try new things and hit a ball over the fence and do something wacky. Andy Roddick had a terrible serve at age 14. He got mad one day and threw the ball up a certain way and took his racket up into that short motion. And he developed the best serve, one of the best serves of all time by accident because he was angry. So what if you started trying new things and attempting new things in a different way? It can completely change your game.
I love that you said that because I want everybody to give themselves the freedom. When I teach people, I say, hey, you're in the lab right now. You know,
Yeah.
I want you to make mistakes. Coaches love when you make mistakes. You know, you might not think that because you're thinking, because I remember I used to take guitar lessons. I get nervous in front of my instructor. I want to impress him. I didn't want to make mistakes. But as a coach, I know I love when I see my students make mistakes. If I can tell they're trying something that's going to help them on the long run. So, you know, give yourselves that freedom, guys. When you go out there, whether you're working by yourself or you go have a lesson with a coach, that is a big point that Justice made. And when you experiment, you're going to find something like, ooh, I like that. I need to keep that in my tool bag. So that was a very good point by you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, very cool. Does anybody have any last second questions for Jeff? And I'll put the two links in one more time. One for Jeff's free training, one for lifetime access to Tennis Con, where, you know, Jeff has talked about Jeff Greenwald a number of times on tonight's call where they work together. Jeff is actually presenting tomorrow. He's one of the best, I don't know, what would you call him? He's not really a recreational player. I don't want to put him in that level, but he's like a world champion.
No. Definitely don't say it as a recreational player. He'll cancel the session tomorrow.
Yeah,
He'll do it for you.
How would you explain, so people who don't know, how good he is and what level he's playing? And he's got several national titles and world titles, 2 times world champion.
Well, first of all, Jeff and I have deep respect for Jeff. He's north of 50, well north, I think he's 51 or 52 now. We did at the Tennis Congress, we would do these exhibitions where Julie Hemmings, one of the players that's on tonight, said she watched us play. We were mic'd up and we are basically telling the crowd what we're focusing on. And Jeff and I have very different ways of doing it. And although I've mentioned some of the stuff tonight that I've learned from him, but it was really interesting how it was fascinating because people were blown away by like what we focus on the court, which is different than what most club players or recreational players focus on. And after that event, we decided to create a program called Fearless Tennis, which we've run for the last couple of years. Very small, very intimate. And I've learned so much from Jeff. Partnering up with him really has helped my coaching tremendously. So I know everyone that goes and listens to his talk tomorrow is going to learn a lot and have breakthroughs. And in terms of like how you describe this guy, I mean, this is a guy that I was 800 or 900 in the world. He had his own mental demons. He would probably admit he had his limitations with his game as well. But when he stopped playing pro tennis, he went back. He got his sports psychology degree. I think he's a PhD. I get the call letters right with what all these smart people have. But I think he's a PhD in sports psychologist. He's also a licensed marriage counselor, I believe. And from that point on, when he started immersing himself in sports psychology and the mindset of things, his game completely like went to the next level. And he won world championships in the 40s and the 45s and national championships and gold balls. I mean, he's an amazing competitor. And this is a guy that he still plays pro tournaments. I mean, I remember one year when I was still on the tour. So if I was 30, he would have been, I'm 45 now. Maybe he was like 37, 38. He's playing San Jose qualies and going 3 sets with Scott Draper, who's top 100 in the world. So this guy's playing with people that are top 300 in the world at 52 years old. And I would say he's one of the best amateur players in the world. I mean, he does lose to a guy named, probably not going to, if he listens to this, he's not going to like me saying this, but he loses to a guy right now named Oren Montevassal, who's a tricky lefty that was 300 in the world and is in the best shape of anybody out there. But he's right up there, one of the best amateur players in the world. And this guy can flat out play. He can run like the wind at 52. He can move, and mentally, obviously, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's interesting is you say how people really loved watching you two play and commentate on the match. That's exactly what he does. Not only is he giving classroom tips in the presentation tomorrow, he's out on the court and he's playing points. He's explained everything he's thinking about and how he's feeling and the tension in his hand. And he gave a talk. I used to live in California, Jeff, and he would give presentations, and he gave one of the best tips I'll never forget, because I would get tight. You know, I was a tight player at times, as we all are. And one of the things he would say is, if you're like really, really super nervous, go with that. If you're tight, get tighter. Grab the racket in between points for like 10 seconds as hard as you can, like you literally want your hand to come through the other side of the handle, and then let go. And you'll find that not only will your hand loosen up, but your entire body will go. And I found that when I was able to do that, I was able to maybe get the return back and play, and then hit a good ground stroke or two. And then sometimes that was all I needed. I'm like, oh, I just hit 2 great ground strokes and I feel like my old self again. I think I could play the rest of this point normally. And it was one of the best tips I've ever heard.
Yeah, you know, back to what I talked about earlier is resisting. You know, what you resist persists. And what you just gave was an example of not resisting the tightness. So actually going into the tightness more by squeezing harder actually gives you a feeling of what it's like to relax right after. And so that progressive relaxation, you know, taking tension out of the body, it's a huge skill to practice, and we all can get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, this was fantastic. Is there anything else you want to tell people as I just give the link out one more time to people?
Yeah, again, I mean, we just appreciate all of the tennis lovers out there that actually take the time out of their evenings to listen to 2 lefties that, you know, we like to think we know what we're talking about when it comes to tennis with all of our experiences. And it's just been a pleasure. Again, really support Peter and his program. He's worked tirelessly on this. When he reached out to me and asked me to be a part of it, I really wanted to help out, because he just does a great job. And I believe you've already gotten tremendous value tonight. Imagine what you're going to get when you have this vault of information inside TennisCon 2. So sign up for that, for Peter's program.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I really appreciate your time tonight. And I think this is great. This is something people could watch over and over again. As you were talking and teaching, there's things where you're saying, I'm like, I got to remember that. That's a great tip. So thank you for sharing your wisdom once again, Jeff.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful evening. And I guess I should just pop off your daily rap show now, right?
Pop off. And then I'm just going to wrap up with everybody, and everybody
Awesome.
have a great night. Thanks, Jeff.
See you later.
All right. That was a great presentation by Jeff. He is one of my favorite people online, and he will be going tomorrow, as well as so many great instructors. We do kick the day off with Jeff Greenwald, and his presentation is about fearless tennis. He's going to be talking about key things that you want to do. He focuses a lot about being in touch with your awareness of your feelings, especially your physical feelings, and he gives you some tips and cues you can do. He goes out on the court, he's hitting it, he's explaining how he's feeling and the adjustments he's making. It's really good stuff. And then he's playing actual points, and it's all positive. It's all strong. Even when he misses, the way he looks at his misses are very unique compared to most people, how they look at when they miss. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Jeff is also going, Jeff Salzenstein is also going to do a presentation tomorrow night. And it is really, really good. It's on mindset. He gives you exercises that he wants you to go through. It's powerful stuff. We also have Andy Gerst, who has done a number of, he does play testing, was doing play testing for Tennis Warehouse, and did some online instruction there. And he also coaches on the WTA Tour. And his is all about mindset, mindfulness. And he goes onto the court. And so it's kind of cool that they're talking about, but then they're going on the court and showing you how they actually apply it during point play. And then one of my favorite presentations is we have Jim Musil, who actually here in Texas, he started to play tennis in his 50s. And by the time he was 60, he was the #1 player in Texas. And he would do things, he'd tell himself, like, hey, no one's going to outwork me today. He'd go to the court, and he made a goal. I think that's another thing. Make yourself strong goals. I'm going to be #1 in the state. And he didn't start with that right away. He had certain ranking goals, and by the end, he wanted to be state champion, and he got to be #1 in the state. He was ranked #1 in the state. And he talks about how you're in different places after a point. You're either high positive, means you're super pumped up. You're low positive, which means you're just kind of excited. You're neutral. You are low negative, or you're high negative, which means you're just kind of about to throw your racket and lose your mind and wondering why you're even playing tennis. And he explains a process for always getting back to neutral and how that really helped him. So there's fantastic stuff going on tomorrow. I hope you guys watch it. Make time out of your day. If you can't make time out of your day, this is what the Lifetime Access Pass is about. Not only, I really don't think that's what it's about. I mean, if you can't make time out of your day tomorrow, you'll get the Lifetime Access Pass. But what I really think the Lifetime Access Pass is making sure that you get the most out of this amazing train by going over and over the train. It's repetition. That's why we're going to do a 30-day challenge. Also, be looking out for, I think we're going to try and premiere it at 10 p.m. I'm not sure if Matt has the video ready. We did a match out here at the ranch where we did commentary on the match. It's like a strong 4-5 match. We're going to release it on YouTube very soon here. It's a strong 4-5 match that was played at the ranch today. Matt and I are doing commentary over the match, and the level of play is really good. You can learn a lot from it. And we got different camera angles. We got slow motion going on. We haven't seen much of this. Also, Ian from Essential Tennis did one with Kevin. It's a little different than that, but kind of similar. But it's people at that 4 or 5 level playing. And we're going to also be filming more matches here at the ranch. So make sure that you're tuning in with us. This has been a lot of fun. And one more time, I'll just put the 2 links down. Thanks for everybody who did sign up. Thanks for everybody who didn't sign up for the Lifetime Access, but just here taking time out of your day to go through this awesome stuff. You're definitely ahead of the curve. The online people who come on and try and learn tennis online, you're a different animal than the people who take lessons locally. You guys dig deeper, and I think because you do that, you get more out of your game. So you guys should be super proud of yourself that you're investing your time and learning, and you're definitely thinking and doing things differently than most people. So keep that up. That is going to pay off. If it's not paying off right now, I promise you it will one day. So everybody have a great night. I want to thank Jeff Salzenstein one more time for coming on. And everybody we'll see you again. Jason says, what time is our wrap-up show tomorrow? I think we're going to keep it at around 7:15 Central Time. Okay, so that would be 8:15 East Coast time. And thank you for watching. I'm glad. Did you guys like these wrap-up shows? How are you? Maybe before we go, who has watched videos so far with TennisCon, and what are your impressions? What do you guys think of TennisCon? Can you watch it without a lifetime pass? Yes, you can watch the daily wrap-up show and everything you guys can watch. You get 48 hours access to every single day. So you can watch the serve day for 48 hours. It is going away tonight. You can watch our ground strokes and volleys day today and tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to get playing in the zone. Thursday you're going to get battle plans, strategy, and Friday you're going to get fitness and recovering from injury. Thank you so much. Carolina says, thanks for everything, guys. Cool. So any other questions about TennisCon? Maybe I'll take some questions about TennisCon. I would love your opinion on TennisCon, what you've been able to watch, what you've thought so far. We are putting a lot of work into this. Myself, as well as all the instructors, have done a tremendous job. And so I am just so honored to be part of this event, and to put it on is just, it's the most special thing I've ever done as a coach. So I'm super proud of it, and I'm proud of everybody involved, from the instructors to the students like you guys who are hanging on, thinking differently, and really trying to dig as deep as you can into the education of your game. It's really awesome stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and we will thank you for existing, says Evan. Thank you, Evan. That's pretty cool. I like that line. I'll take that. I'm glad I exist, and I'm glad you exist too. Let's see, if there is going to be an event like this next year, how can I join the camp in Texas? Okay, so that's a great question. Let me show you the Tennis Fantasy link. Give me a second, guys. You guys can ask questions as I go to find the Tennis Fantasy link. Tennis Fantasy link. Rod Laver is here, guys. You can play on Rod Laver's team, John Newcomb's team, Roy Emerson's team, Mark Philippoussis' team, Michael Pernforth's team, Wayne Ferrer's team. It's really, really amazing what's going on here, and so you can be part of it. Many people say it's a bucket list thing for them to do, the Tennis Fantasy Week. But once they do it once, then they come again, and then they come again, and then they come again. So it's really special at Nuke's Ranch. I'm just looking this up. It'll take me a second, but I'm glad you guys asked because you want to look at this. It's really awesome stuff. I'm going to send you a link to it. Take a look at Newcomb's site. Beside this week, I have a lot of stuff going on here. Actually, I'm running a camp this weekend. Crunch Time Coaching is running a camp right out here as well. Okay, I do have to run because my battery's running low as well, just like Jeff's. That's how deep we went. So thanks so much for watching this broadcast. I'm going to sign off before my battery runs out, and we'll see you all throughout more of TennisCon.